Hi everybody, welcome to this new video on doing academic research with generative AI. And in this video, I want to show you how you can start using AI agents in data collection. So here we really want to go into kind of automating data collection using generative AI agents. And I will use a kind of example of when I use AI agents myself. And I'm at WHU, the academic director of the WHU Entrepreneurship Center. So that's our center where we try to help our students and also our alumni in accelerating their startup activities. And to do so, we have built a database kind of keeping knowledge of all our alumni and which kind of companies they have founded. And we do this together with Dealroom, where we have found a kind of database that can keep track of all the funding activities of our startups. So in that way, we can on a regular basis create all kinds of nice overviews of what our alumni are doing. Just to give you as an example, here you can see, for instance, the footprint of WHU startups. So startups where at least one of the founders is a WHU alumnus for 2023. And you can see, for instance, here that almost 9% of all the funding raised in Germany was done by companies where at least one of the founders is a WHU alumnus. And this kind of database allows us to really keep track of the impact of our alumni on the German entrepreneurial ecosystem. Now, we don't only want to keep track of numbers, but of course we also really want to understand what these companies are doing. And for instance, a limitation of this Dealroom database is that it doesn't have clear insights into the descriptions of the startups. So in that way, solely relying on Dealroom database has some limitations because you don't really exactly know what these startups are doing. So what we actually want to do is to create for every startup in our database an extensive description. And to do so, we first of all build a kind of prompt. And here you can see kind of the chain of thought prompt that we are using. Yeah, so as you can see here, and I use here the example of the company Upfest. That's one of these startups in our ecosystem. It's a fintech startup co-founded by Tobias Alferoth. And so we want to get a nice description of what this company is doing. And you can easily do that nowadays in ChatGPT by writing a chain of thought prompt and enabling web search. And so here you see the prompt that I have used. So the first step is that I ask ChatGPT to go to the internet, collect as much information as possible. As step 2, it needs to double check this information. And in a final step, it needs to provide me an extensive description of the company. And then indeed, it will do so. And given that I've given it quite some input, this information tends to be very accurate and complete. So that's quite easy, quite straightforward. Of course, as you might have seen on the slide before, we have like more than 1,500 companies in our database, and I don't want to kind of in ChatGPT copy paste 1,500 times the same prompt. So here I actually want to automate that process so that in one single click, I can generate this kind of company descriptions for more than 1,500 companies. And here, the good news is, yes, we can do that. We can scale it. Maybe for some, the disappointing news will be that you still need coding today to do this. Yeah? So here we need to go into our Python coding to develop an agent that can do this automatically for us. So this will be a bit more technical. Yeah? So that's why I have this small nerd alert, because I briefly want to explain how from a technical perspective you can build this kind of agent. It's not very complicated, but still you need some coding. And overall, this is the process that you need. So you will, in your coding, have to give your agent an OpenAI API key. So that will allow the agent to talk with OpenAI. We also give it a SERPer API key. And this is a key that will allow the agent to go to the internet and do web searches. And of course, we will give it the prompt that we have created. And these strings we will link together with a library called LangChain. And this is a dedicated library to make it easier to use generative AI in coding. More specifically, it can really link together different aspects that you need. So that's what the LangChain library allows you to do. And so in general, what we here want to do is we want to give the agent input, meaning a database with a number of companies. And then the agents should, for each company in the database, create a company description, and in the end, enrich our database with these company descriptions. So let me briefly show you how that looks like in the actual coding. Okay, so here we are in my coding environment, and you can see the first block of coding that we need are the libraries that we need. And you see here we all need some kind of functionalities from the LangChain library. So that is what I need to provide to the agent. Subsequently, I need to give it my OpenAI API key and my Serper API key. Now, I have a separate video on how to create an OpenAI API key in the OpenAI platform. For the Serper API key, it's very simple. You need to go to the website serper.dev, and there you can create an API key. You can even create a free API key, so you get like 1,000 credits for free, even without giving any credit card information. So that's quite straightforward. But so these are the two keys that we need. Subsequently, of course, we have to enable these keys in our environment so that we can use them in the coding. And here I'm actually kind of coding the agent. And you see it's not extremely complex. So you need to define which large language model you use. And in this case, we will use GPT-4o Mini from OpenAI. Here I need to define this tool that will allow the agent to go to the internet. So this is the code to create that tool that will allow the agent to go to the internet. And here I bring it all together in this statement. So here I create the agent where I'm saying, look, this is the tool that you have, and this is the large language model that you use. So that's everything that I need. So let me briefly initialize everything. And now I need to kind of input my database. So I have a database, and I can briefly show you that one. Yes, so here you see a database with companies, WHU companies that have received funding in February 2025. And so for these companies, next to the information that the Dealroom platform provides me, so this is all out of the Dealroom platform, I also want to create an extensive company description for these 5 companies. So let me show you how you can do that. So we have enabled our agent. Now with Pandas, I kind of transform my Excel into a data frame. So here I have all the information for the companies now in my coding environment. And here actually I create a loop. So what we will do for every company in my database is execute this prompt. So this was the prompt that I prepared up front. And so now we will, for every company, do a loop and execute that prompt with the agent. And let me show you how that looks like. So let me read the Excel here. Then let me double check if everything works. Yes, so this is the data frame. And now I can enable my agent. And so now this agent will be running, and you see it's now automatically searching for company information and adding information to the database. So this is quite straightforward with this agent. It will now kind of 5 times in this case for all the companies in my database execute this prompt. But of course, if I would have given it 1,500 companies, it would do it simply 1,500 times without you having to intervene at all. So here you can see how you can start automating this output. And so this will take a bit of time, like 1-2 minutes. And then I will have my enriched database where for every company, I will have a company description. Yes, so now my database is ready, and you can see that now I have an additional column called description. And here I have for every company an extensive description. As you can see, it has provided a lot of information. So this is how you can start using agents for collecting data. An important remark is that using the OpenAI API key implies costs. And so here we are using the OpenAI API key. That means that's not part of your subscription. So here you actually pay per token. Now, actually today with GPT-4o Mini, it's very manageable. Yeah, so you pay like $1 per 1 million tokens, but still you need to take into account that there are cost implications. There are also open source alternatives. For instance, for other applications, I often use Croc Cloud, where you can actually use all kinds of open source models like Llama, but nowadays also things like DeepSeek. And so here actually you can use API keys of Croc for free. Of course, there are rate limits, so you cannot endlessly use them. So there we have to take into account how often you make a call and how many tokens you produce. But so there are kind of free open source alternatives for the OpenAI API key if you want to reduce your potential costs. Okay, this is what I wanted to show you today on how we can start leveraging generative AI for data collection. This is just one example, but I hope you can see there are a lot of opportunities to today start automating data collection by creating AI agents and use them for all kinds of data collection activities. So thanks for your attention, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.